All right, let's talk about the future of getting around. Because it's a future that's being built on one single, absolutely mind-boggling number.
Yep, $16 billion. We're not just talking about an investment here. This is a statement, a huge declaration from one of the biggest names in tech that, hey, the driverless future, it's officially open for business.
So where did this number come from? Well, on February 2nd, 2026, Waymo, the self-driving car company, closed this insane funding round. We're talking one of the biggest capital injections this whole autonomous vehicle space has ever seen. Okay, let's quickly break this down. The company, of course, is Waymo, which is part of Alphabet, Google's parent. The funding, that's the $16 billion we've been talking about. But get this. This deal pushes Waymo's valuation to a whopping $126 billion. This isn't just about a company starting up. This is about a giant really coming into its own. All right, so that's the what. But the real story here, the exciting part, is the why. Why so much money? Well, it's all about doing one thing, taking self-driving cars from being this cool futuristic science project and actually putting them on the streets that you and I drive on every single day.
So that naturally leads to the $16 billion question, right? What in the world do you do with that much cash? Turns out Waymo has a super clear three-part plan. First up, they're going big. They want to expand their footprint, taking their robotaxi services from just a few cities to all across the country, maybe even internationally. Second, they're going to scale up everything. That means manufacturing more cars, building out the service operations, the whole shebang. And third, they're rolling out their next-gen tech, pushing the envelope on what these cars can actually do.
But this isn't just about Waymo's own to-do list. This money, it's pure rocket fuel for what is already a super high-stakes race to totally redefine how we get around. And it really is a race. In one corner, you've got Waymo, with all the power of Alphabet behind it. And in the other corner, their biggest rival, Cruise, which is backed by the old-school auto giant General Motors. We're talking about a true battle of titans here. And one of the sources we looked at put it perfectly. It said this deal lets Waymo compete more aggressively in a space where basically everyone is just throwing tons of money around. To put it simply, this has become an incredibly expensive arms race. And Waymo, well, they just showed up with a much, much bigger weapon. Okay, let's zoom out even further. Because this whole funding round, it's not just about self-driving cars. It's actually a signal, a major shift in how investors are thinking about the future and the kinds of massive long-term bets they're willing to place. The key idea to understand here is something called long horizon technology. Basically, these are businesses that need a ton of cash up front and, honestly, might not make any profit for years, maybe even a decade or more. It's the ultimate high-risk, high-reward gamble. And look, Waymo is not alone here. We're seeing this trend across all sorts of frontier tech. Think about things like quantum computing or new systems for net zero energy. Big money investors are starting to look way past the next quarterly report. They're placing bets on the technologies that are going to define the next 100 years. And this really tells the story of investor confidence. For a while there, let's be honest, the rollout of self-driving cars was way slower than people expected. And you could feel the skepticism building. But this $16 billion deal, whoa, that signals a huge renewal of confidence. It's like the big money is saying, okay, we're back in. We believe this tech is finally ready for prime time. Okay, so we've talked a lot about billions of dollars and corporate strategy. But what does any of this actually mean for you and me? For our cities? For our daily commute? What's the real world impact? This, right here, is probably the single most important takeaway from all of this. Waymo is officially shifting gears. They are moving on from being a cool science experiment in a few cities to becoming a real, large-scale business that's aimed at everybody. And you can literally see that pivot happening. Before, so much of their energy was on R&D and these small pilot programs. But now, with all this new cash, the biggest slice of the pie is going straight to commercial deployment. This is the moment. This is them trying to make driverless cars a normal part of your life. So, hey, the next time you see one of those cars with the spinning sensor on the roof, remember this. With $16 billion fueling the mission, the real question isn't if a driverless future is coming, it's just how much closer it got today.